Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. Listen as we interview real business owners and learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between. Today's guest is the owner of a real estate brokerage, the Madewell Real Estate Company here in Lubbock, Texas. He is also the COO of Madewell Construction, a nationwide commercial construction company. He's a franchisee with the Take 5 Oil Change and newly owner of Lubbock's newest luxury wedding venue center, the Madewell Estates. Without further ado, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Jacoby Madewell.
Yeah, this is exciting. Appreciate you guys. You guys have built a huge business, and so it's pretty nice that you guys considered me to be on here.
We've been excited about this one, man. You are out and about in the Lubbock community all over the place, and you have a million things going on. I kind of wanted to start with the Madewell Estates Event Center. That is one of those like, what in the world? How does this exist in Lubbock? Mm-hmm. Tell me, how did you get into that? It's beautiful.
I met my wife on August 13th, 2016 at my best friend's wedding. She was the photographer. And then about 3 weeks later, we met each other again randomly and started dating. And I said to you, what's your dream? You know, thinking like, because that's who I am. I'm like, what do we dream? What are we doing? What are we talking about? And she said to travel. And I don't mind traveling. Traveling's okay, but it gives me anxiety being away from work. It's just like work is my kind of output. And so I said, what's your second dream? And she said to own a wedding venue. And so she's a wedding photographer. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. How come? And she said, well, you age out of wedding photography. And you don't ever see a 45 or 50-year-old wedding photographer. You just maybe one here and there, but you just don't. You have brides that are kind of the same age as their wedding photographer. So I said, okay. So then fast forward 1 week before our wedding in 2018, we bought 13 acres south of town, just north of New Home. And that's where we have Madewell Estates. And so we bought that. We got married. We spent the whole first year of our wedding or of our marriage doing the planning and sketching and drawing and dreaming and this and that. And then we spent the next year, 2019, I guess that was 18, 19. So then we did all that. And then we started trying to get bank loan and all that sort of stuff. And then COVID hit in 2020. And so then we finally got everything going at the very end of 2022, spent 2023 building it and opened it April of 2024.
Wow.
So not quite one full year yet, but 10 months in. So it's really awesome. We've got a whole team that's out there and it's really exciting. It's 21,000 square feet, modern, white, bright like a bride, and then dark and moody, kind of like a groom suite. And we have a private wine cellar down there. And that's probably my favorite thing because it's unlike anything you've ever seen in West Texas.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've seen pictures and it really looks amazing, like a unique place for sure.
We wanted to do it where you use multiple spaces besides like, oh yeah, look, you can have a grand hall wedding right here. We've got a wine cellar you can rent, groom suite, bridal suite. You can have a coaching session out there. You can have, business planning at the end of the year and have 20 people out there. We've got all these spaces set up that it can be really cool for anybody. It's like, come on. So we really wanted it to be kind of not universal, but flexible and versatile. So, yeah.
How's that for marketing? I'm all ready to sign up for
come on.
a space.
Come on. You guys would love it. You guys would love it. So, yeah, but that all started with, that for a long time, like that was my why was, I think when people say my why is my kids and my wife, you cool. Like, I think that's great, but I think it's got to be really something that pulls you a little bit more. And for me, the why had a deadline and like a timeline attached to it. And so I got my start in real estate in end of 2013. And I wanted to always be in real estate. I wanted to, since I was 16.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So we grew up in Canyon, just south of Amarillo. And my dad and granddad built houses my whole life and built apartments. And so our houses were for sale, so it was just kind of home. And so when I'm 16 to about 20, I dated a girl whose parents were auctioneers. And 06, 07, 08 happens when we're dating. And I'm watching them just crushing it, not really realizing the world is crushed, but they're auctioneers selling off all these properties. And I'm like, man, I got to be in real estate because my granddad and my dad are doing well. They're doing well. Look at this house they're in. Like, clearly real estate's where it's at. And so from there, I said to my brother when I was graduated high school, I didn't ever want to go to college. Graduated high school, I said, who has the best sales training? And he's at LCU, and he says, Xerox copy machines. I've actually never really told this part of the story. So I'm like, all right. So I call up the Xerox copy machine sales lady in Amarillo. I'm like, hey, heard you have the best training, so I'd like to work for you. She's like, okay. So for 2.5 months over that summer, I went business to business selling copy machines, which are like $6,000. If somebody walks in here today, you'd be like, no, get out of here.
Get out of here.
So I sold one machine in 2.5 months, and it was to the Canyon Chamber of Commerce. And I'm pretty sure my grandmother kind of like she was really big in the community. It was all, hey, you guys need to buy this machine. And so I wasn't going to quit till I sold one. So I sold that one, and then I was like, okay, cool. I got paid $1,200 for a commission and got my check, and then I was done. And then went to Amarillo College for a while. Then I moved down here at semester and went to Lubbock Christian. And still never really wanted to go to college, but that's what I was told to do. And so when I was 18, I bought my license for real estate on like Groupon. It's like $193.
I forgot about Groupon.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, Groupon was big 15 years ago, 12 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Probably even 10 years ago. And then you had to do it within 6 months. I didn't because I'm not a school guy. And it was all online, which to get my attention and stare at a screen is just a nightmare. And so then I bought them again. I was 19. Bought them again when I was 20. Bought them again when I was like 22. Bought them again when I was like 23. And it wasn't always on Groupon. Like finally, I'm like, gosh, man, I'm not doing this. And I worked for some great places. I worked, did marketing, did ambassador, like a local group ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce stuff. I opened up restaurants. I went and was a finance manager at Pollard Ford, did all this stuff. And I actually, we'll get real deep into it. I actually got a DUI when I was at Pollard Ford as the finance manager because I fell asleep at the red light after going out with some buddies one night. Like I just fell asleep for like 45 minutes with my foot on the brake. And so they fired me.
Oh my.
Yeah. So they fired me, which I was already pretty like miserable because it was like not my dream. And I was just trying to I'm a happy, optimistic person. And so I was like, man, I'm just going to go get this real estate license. I'm already so like unhappy and all these things. And so I went and waited tables at Kegel's Steakhouse because I was like, all right, this place is way out here in the country. I won't see anybody I know. Not realizing that Kegel's is where everybody does their Christmas parties.
Mm-hmm.
And so I worked out there and like see every person I've ever met, like humbled me. And I just waited tables as this 24-year-old guy with all of these 18-year-olds as the old man at the time. And went and got my real estate license and just took off for 6 months. And I waited tables while I had my real estate license, getting it up and going. And I had really a whole lot of success. First year, sold 42 houses.
Wow.
And back then, average sales price in Lubbock was like 160,
Yeah.
So I was selling investment properties. I was doing a bunch. You could go to the MLS and find a property. You'd be like, let's go see that one. That one looks like a deal. I had a deal where you could search on the MLS and put like $60 or under per foot. And I would just pull a list and go find investors and be like, this one has room. Let's go. They'd be like, all right, cool.
Not no more.
Yeah, not anymore. Back when 1% rule was like, holy moly, look at this. It's getting the 1% rule because the rents were not even catching up to, it was over the 1% rule, It's like, that was not even we weren't even talking. And now we're like trying to get to that point.
So explain that. Explain the 1% rule you're talking about.
You buy a house for $100,000, you rent it for $100,000 a month.
Okay.
So you want 1% of whatever you buy it as the rent. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was recruited to go to Denton, Texas, to be a real estate coach. And I was like, all right, let's go big city. Let's do this. I'm single. Like, let's get out of Lubbock. Let's do this. And so I went to Denton, Texas, to work for Keller Williams branch there and be our business coach. And what I learned was a lot about myself. One, I only made money when they made sales. So it was really hard for me because it was like, I was used to like, you eat what you kill, you eat what you kill, you eat what you kill. And then it was like, I eat when they kill. And it was like, gosh, this is slow, And so then after about 6 months there, I think I decided like, I've got to get back to Lubbock. So I came back to Lubbock, just started selling again. And then 3 weeks after, maybe it's 5 weeks after I was back here, that's when I met Haley. It was a complete God thing. Met Haley, fall in love, get my life in order. Sold and did a whole bunch of stuff here. And right as I met Haley, my brother had kind of started up his construction company. And he was doing everything for the little church ladies. He used to be in insurance before that. Yeah. And, fencing and this and did all that. And he'd kind of gone out on his own. And so I'm working in sales, and then I'm sending him like every repair, so we're trying to kind of grow these together, doing our own thing. 2018, I moved my office into his. Like, we're doing so much together. Started building houses then, because it's what we know. And our dad now came and worked with us too. And so we're all working together.
Really? Your dad works with y'all?
Yeah. So it's really cool.
I did not know that.
He's retired, but he's, one of the main reasons we've kind of gotten where we are too is having his, mentorship there. But superintends, look at all the projects, make sure he's got eyes on everything and make sure we're not doing something too crazy. But yeah, so he retired and came to work for Jordan and I, and really for Jordan. And then I was still doing a bunch of stuff with Keller Williams. I was like Mr. KW. I did stuff on the local, the state, and I finally got to like an international level where I was an International Agent Leadership Council member. Really cool. Didn't pay anything. It was just like volunteering, to be a leadership, like a board. And then in 2021, it was really like 2020, end of 2020, when all this craziness had just been going on. And we were like, man, we should go off on our own. And so my business partner, Betsy, and I had started a company in 2017 called Contract to Close, and it was all about leverage. So everything we do is behavioral style. So high I, high D, talk to people, sales guy, crush, go out. Are you familiar with DISC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but you might explain it for the people listening.
So DISC is just a personality test that basically just says high D's are driven, high I's are people, influence, high S is stability, security, and this is very short. There's a whole lot more to it. And then a C is like compliance, perfectionist, detail-oriented. Mm-hmm. She's high C, very detail-oriented, very perfectionist. I'm high D. So I drive and go get the business. I'm a walking billboard. She handles it all back there. So we figured out that real estate agents don't really need to be doing all their details. They need to spend their time going and getting more business. Mm-hmm. And so we started a company. She took it, ran with it, and then we merged back together in 2021, and we launched Madewell Real Estate Company. And in 2024, I literally started the wedding venue. And then the month later, with all the NAR commissions, settlements, all that stuff happening, we're watching people pay out hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're like, we really don't want to be into any of that if that comes back with a class action. And so we partnered up with eXp Realty. So now I have Madewell Real Estate at eXp Realty. Mm. So that actually lowered my monthly bills, like my overhead, by about $4,500 to $5,500 a month.
Neat.
So, and we've given the opportunity for our agents that are with us to have a capping model now.
Where they hit a certain
that's right because before
commission, and then above that it's all theirs.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Before that, we just kept, it was like 70-30. We kept 30 forever because we had so many expenses.
Yeah. Now
we've got it set up to where we can cap out and they hit 100%. It actually goes 90-10 after a while because we still have some minor things, but yeah. So we've got that. And then in July, while I still run that, I was always like business development and some of that stuff for the construction company. Like when it's family, you do it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Jordan's a part owner of the real estate company as well. But when it's family, you kind of do it all. And I became the COO of the construction company in July.
Okay.
So
hang on. There's so much here. I have so many questions.
Okay.
You've had a lot of different jobs.
Right.
From working at Pollard Ford to, I think there was a fencing company in there.
Yep.
There's
Xerox.
There's a Xerox.
Mm-hmm.
Keller Williams.
You've had a million different jobs.
Mm-hmm. The last at least 12 years have all been my own created. I should say 13 years. Yeah. Sorry.
So talk me through kind of the self-discovery in that, you're trying things that you're not liking.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're liking parts of it. Mm-hmm. How did you, what's kind of the golden nuggets from each of those jobs that ultimately brought you to what you're doing today?
Even further back, when I was 16, my brother was 19. Big influence on me. 3 years older. He's like, you need to read this book. Okay. So I read a book.
What book?
I don't even remember which one it was, but it just got me into it. Then I told you about the girl I dated back then. Their parents were like, hey, here's this book. And that one was The Secret, Law of Attraction. And then Jordan's like, hey, you need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Hey, you need to read this one. And hey, I remember reading in my car before school, I'm reading Jack Canfield's Success Principles, which is literally a textbook. And so like I started off like by reading. And so one of the things I learned at an early age is like to know, you kind of have to figure out yourself and like what you love. I love people, and I knew I'm good at people because I believe you put me in a room with somebody, and if I'm selling, if I get face to face, we can pretty much make a deal, right? Like I just enjoy people. I can rock and roll. My wife's social battery, she's like, I've used all my words for the day. I'm like, oh, what a rough day. Let's go meet some people. Let's go find a group and go to dinner. And she's like, what? No, we've had a long day. Let's not do anything. And it's just, that's how I like recharge. I get energy from being in the room. So I've always known that about myself. And I don't know if it's because I've been like doing self-development for so long. I knew like I have to be around people that, you know, this starts even when I'm younger, probably because I was just outgoing, but like we led all the youth group stuff. We had 2 years where we didn't have a youth minister, and it was like me and my 4 buddies, and we led everything for our like 50-person youth group along with parents. But so I've always been in like putting myself in those leadership kind of roles. And so everywhere I've gone though, there were some that were specific. I knew this was a stepping stone. But it's always been like, okay, I can lead people, I can grow, I can do, you know, that's kind of been something that's always kind of been on my radar.
And then I think for someone like you, before you can be in a leadership role or when you're like working for other people, I would imagine sometimes that's challenging, right? Because you've got to kind of wait your turn or earn your right to be the guy who's in front and who's selling. Or
I read a book a long time ago called Leading Without a Title. And I don't know why, that just kind of always helped me to like lead yourself first. And then leading without a title is really huge because you always know there's a whole lot of guys at our company that probably have just as much influence as I do without the title, because they walk softly and carry a big stick. And it's kind of like when that guy talks, we listen. And so I kind of tried to learn that at a younger age. Like, well, that guy's the guy in charge and I'm only the 2 or the 3 guy, but what is my role? What do I need to be? But going back to your thought on like, you've had a lot of different roles, and what was the goal? The goal is always to get into real estate. And I don't know if y'all even know Chase Marbury. I always think like, man, what if I would have started when Chase did when he was 18? How many properties would I have? And, you know, like then you get into the comparison game of like, man, he's done so well, but he started when he was 18. What if I would have started when I was 18?
Yeah.
Well, would I have made it in 08?
Right.
You know, like, it all happens how it's supposed to. But I always knew real estate was the goal. And real estate's just the vehicle that's allowed us to do a whole lot of things. Now it's still real estate. It's just we build it for people. And we're in 13 states at any given time. Right now we're in Phoenix, Florida, you know, I think Alabama, Kansas City, Texas. We're just all over the state at any given time because we've created so we've gone from in 2018, we did about $8 million with about 5 to 6 employees to today. Last year, we did about $60 million with about 40 employees.
Wow.
And about 20 superintendents that travel all over the place.
And what are y'all building? I know y'all are commercial construction.
So we started off as Dollar Generals.
Okay.
We got in there. We had an opportunity to do that in 2018. Might have even been 17 or 16. I can't remember. It was the year. It was like right when Haley and I were meeting. That's why I can remember that. And then now we're doing a lot of automotive. So starting in that, we were like, man, we really like this. And so that's how we became the Take 5 Oil Change franchisee. And we own the Wyoming and the Western Colorado region.
Okay.
And so we have one store open in Cheyenne, Wyoming, another one under construction in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we're under contract for Laramie and Casper, and then Grand Junction for land. Yeah.
So for our listeners, you know, a lot of them are small business owners, you know, or work for somebody. And you live in Lubbock, Texas, you know, West Texas at the base of the Panhandle, and you have this construction company that is nationwide, 13 different states, you know, a couple of dozen of projects going on at all times.
Yeah.
How do you manage a team and lead them well? You're a people person. Like, how do you lead a team well when you're not in the same room?
The one thing we pride ourselves on is I think we've gotten really good at hiring in the hiring process. people rush it. And that was something that was taught to me year 2 and 3 in the business of real estate. You know, there was leadership that was like, you need to learn how to recruit, train, lead, and select your people really well. And then you need to know the hiring process, the first meeting, the initial meeting. We do the disc right off the bat. Hey, you want to apply for a job with us? Cool. Here's the disc test. Send us the resume. And then we also I have specific instructions that I do. It says, send it to me and then send it to Caitlin, who's my assistant. Well, it's like a test right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right?
Can they do that?
Can they do that? Can they download the right report that
Right.
Sometimes that may be a little too hard because it's somebody like me that's not detail oriented and you're like, don't hold it against them. But, right off the bat, do people even email it, do it properly? And you're like,
well, it depends what role you're hiring for, right?
That's right. So, but we've really I feel like we've gotten good at hiring. So we go about 1 to 2 interviews. Usually the first interview will be solo. Like I don't want to waste anybody else's time in my company. Comprehensive, real high level. Who are you? Do we like you? Okay, I like you. I like how you sound. I definitely know your culture fit by some of the questions and things you've said, or you're not, and I'm not going to go any further. Second interview, I usually bring in 2 to 3 people. Okay, how we doing? Then the third interview, 2 to 3 different people. And then the fourth, probably usually the last one, sometimes like with our venue manager, I think she had 6 interviews.
Wow.
We weren't ready to hire. So she came to us. And so we're like, well, we're going to make sure that, and so we do like usually 4. And then that fourth interview is usually with 8 people in the room. And it's usually to make sure that everybody's shaking their head yes versus like, you liked them? Okay. And then they come in and now they know 12 people at the company. And it's not like, hi, I'm first day here. It's like, I've met you 4 times up to this point.
Yeah.
And then if they don't make it through the first, second, third interview because they need something sooner or whatever, we've weeded them out there as well.
What are some things you look for in those interviews? What are some key things to you?
So I'm thinking back through recent hires. One thing I'm looking for is patience in the process. Are they sticking with me? I really like to hire winners. Like I want somebody that's winning somewhere else and not like desperate for a job.
Right.
So it's not really a thing that we have people that don't have jobs already. And we get into kind of a conversation or whatever, they're approaching us. But one of the guys we just hired, super nervous in the interview. And he's an incredible guy. He's just like, he literally says like, I do not interview well. I really hope you guys will just see past this, and like dripping sweat. One of the girls we interviewed, she's 21 and bubbly. And she interviewed so well that we even said like, does she just interview really well? Because she's 21 and how many of these has she been on? And like, saying all the right things, fresh out of college. But I think that's why like we lean on each other's kind of, cool, and saying all those things and make sure we're all on the same page. But patience is a big one. Will they stick with us? Mm-hmm. Another one is I'm looking for like some grit. I'm always looking for grit. Like this is not going to be easy. I feel like nothing we do is easy anymore. I want to hear stories about, like you asked the question, like, tell me about a time whenever
behavioral style interview questions.
Right, yeah. And I'm literally like, I want to hear, like, I'll dig deeper. Like, tell me more. Like, what is it? Whatever happened? Give me another example. I didn't like that one.
Yeah.
And so how do they handle because I am a real nice guy. I move so fast. I'm a fast mover. My fastness sometimes comes across as a jerk, and it's not meant to be that way. So like people that are closest to me are like, no, he's the night. What do you mean he was rude to you? I guarantee you he wasn't rude to you. He probably just moved really fast and he wasn't thinking about whatever you had to say. He was literally going. Mm-hmm. And so like, I kind of want to like tell them some stuff sometimes, like, hey, I move really fast. And if this, and so I may kind of in the interview kind of go fast at them. My brother says I pepper people, but I want to see how they respond.
Yeah.
But like with our shop manager up in Wyoming, she hung out with us while we hired her, like, we're going to pay you. And she was like, this is wrong. You're paying me and we're not even open. We're not even working. What else what can I be doing for you? You want me to sweep? You want me to do that? Like and it's like, okay, you can tell a lot about a person and what they will be by how they kind of react in some of those moments. And so, I feel like with that, and then, communication's huge. My phone is always on me. And if I don't answer my phone, it's probably because like I read it. Like if I don't answer your text, I read it, answered it here. So it's like, I always tell people, you can double text me all day, double call me, do whatever. I'm going to respond to you. My phone's in my hand. just probably doing something else. So I feel like our communication is one way we handle all these teams and people. And what we've really started focusing on lately is the obvious one of you can only manage so many people.
Yeah.
And so we've been empowering our people to manage their teams and not having to be like, I'm over 40 people. Like, no, we're over 5 to 7 really well.
So from an entry level person to decision maker like you or Jordan, how many layers are there?
Probably 2 between us.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I definitely still talk to the lowest of the person at the company. Really shouldn't even feel like they're low because of how we've put them into positions.
Yeah.
But we've got COO, CEO, and then we have CFO. We have a controller. We have like 4 in the accounting department. We have project manager. We have a vice president of construction, a director of construction. And so, some stuff doesn't even come to us. It goes to those guys. And even if they did come to us, I'd go, what did they say? So it's like, we're not even needing to answer some of those questions. But have you all read Scaling Up by Vern Harnish? Okay. So we're going through Scaling Up with a coach right now. Ray Young, Ray.
Yeah.
So Ray's going through that with us. It's been awesome. He's done that with us for years. And so we brought in more of our team. And I just think kind of always kind of having that. You ask me like, how do you lead teams? It's like, I'm always trying to lead myself and we're always leading this.
Yeah.
Another thing I think is huge is I like to think we're really good to people. I think we have a fun culture. I'm a big believer. Have you ever heard of Abadah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What is that?
it's from the Bible.
Abadah?
Abadah. And I was taught this by my pastor at Victory Life Church. It's called Abadah, Avodah.
Okay.
And help me, it's a Greek translation. But
I'm not the guy to answer this.
The word means the same thing in 3 different interpretations. So it's, we're going to work for God, we're going to worship for God, we're going to serve for God. And every time they've said these, they've used the word Abadah. And so it's like I can pull it all up for you, send it to you, but this is something you need to go down a deep rabbit hole on. But it's like we live the same life. I work for God, I worship God, I serve God. I'm the same person. And so one of my big core, I guess, mantras is we're made to do more than wake up, go to work, pay bills, and die. And I want people to live full lives. And so like, you're here with us for 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
Let's have freaking fun. We've had guys that work for us at the oil change that, this might sound bad, I hope none of them watch this video, but they're paycheck to paycheck guys 99% of the time. And if one thing derails them, it can really derail them. And so we've had them go through some tragedy, and it's like, let's just stick with them. Let's give them some grace. Like, let's set our standard and our expectations and inspect what you expect kind of conversations with them. But it's like, we're going to let you have 4 days off here. Come back. You're going to be great.
That'll build loyalty.
And it is. I've got 5, 6 guys that are my core, and we rotate out about 5 or 6 other guys but my core, those guys are like 3 of them. I've been like, we took care of him. We let this guy come back. And I feel like we're really good to our people because we don't micromanage. We're all adults.
Yeah.
We've got incredibly talented people working for us. So we let them show their talents. Caleb Miller.
Yes.
So Caleb is our director of construction. Caleb is so detailed, so organized, so well poised, so well spoken that Caleb, go be Caleb. I don't ever have to get in his lane. And then a guy named Paul Hubbard is the exact opposite. Paul is very fast paced, very sales oriented, but he's a relationship guy. And so a lot of times it's like, oh, this is a Paul because this is relationship. And Caleb's like, yep, no problem with me, And so, Jordan Parnell works for our company, and Parnell's incredibly brilliant. Well, I'm not getting in that guy's way. He's smarter than me. It's just like, how do we empower everybody to go be great?
Yeah.
And so our venue manager had 10 years experience in Dallas. My shop manager in Wyoming had 5 years with the Take 5 before at a corporate level. And then I came to the franchise. I don't need to get in her way. How can I support you? How can we build you up? How can we, get you what you need? Oh, you need some money to buy some stuff? Okay, all right, I can easily do that.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys have a million businesses. You're all over the place at all times. And I'm listening to you, kind of a bounce from from site to site, from role to role, and department to
Probably how
department.
my brain works too.
Yeah. I mean, it's terrifying.
It's terrible.
But and you talked about this before we got on the podcast. You talked a lot about things that you're passionate about, and one of them was leadership development.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, what I'm hearing in this journey, and this is the soft skills that are pretty intimidating as a business owner, as you go from that solopreneur to the actual business owner, building teams, leading teams, accomplishing what you set out to do. Making that transition from kind of the do-it-yourself guy to the leader is one of the hardest transitions that is the transition in business ownership. And what I've heard throughout this is, articulated in half a dozen different ways, is you're getting to know people and getting to know how to lead them well. And so can you maybe give some, you said you're passionate about leadership development. What are kind of some tangible, practical things that our listeners need to hear to develop themselves to be leaders of teams?
Yeah. First thing that took me a long time to realize is that we're not robots. I want that for myself, is like, I want to be like, the wheel of life, where you have your relationship, your faith, your family, your love, your health, your wealth, all those things. I want to work out with Steven at 5 a.m. I want to be a great dad like you are at this time. I want to be, I want to be those things. I want to be I want all of my wheel of life to be like at a 10 at all times. It's just who I am. I'm up here. My brother always says I'm an intense person. It's not realistic. When your health and wellness is on, your friends may fall because you're not hanging out, because you're not going to eat queso and margs. And when your queso and margs is on, maybe your health is off. And when you're going to hang out with your friends, maybe your finances are on. And when your work is on, maybe your finances are off. Like,
there's trade-offs.
It's trade-offs. And I think it's counterbalancing. Everybody wants to talk about, how do you have a balanced life? I have a counterbalance. Some days we work 12 hours. Some days we take off for 12 hours. Which is not really ever the case. But so it's like, I work hard when it's time to work hard, and I play hard when it's time to play hard. I travel with my wife because that's what she wants to do. And it forces me to reset a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would say the thing that helps me with all the leadership development is every morning I probably spend an hour and a half listening or reading or something. Every day I'm putting something in my brain. And I start my day with that. And I usually start my day with a positive conversation that was taught to me years ago. Whenever you prospect and lead generate every day, before you get on the phone and get no's, you call somebody and you have a happy conversation. And so I start every day, usually with my brother. We talk, what do you got? What do you got? What do we got for the day? Cool. All right, cool. Boom, we're into it. Before we get to the office and see each other, we have a phone call on the way into the office. And it's just, that's our thing. I've told people, call your mother first. Call somebody that'll lift you up and make you happy. But that's what I'm looking for every morning, is to get to this mentality, because you don't wake up with I'm so excited for the day. Like, you got to get there. I wish I could say I'm hitting the gym every morning. I'm not. It's just the counterbalancing, and understand we're not robots. Yep. So with that, your people aren't robots. So don't expect them to be perfect all the time. Over the last, I'd say, year, I feel like I've been way better with grace than I ever have in my whole life. Because I move so fast. I want people to be perfect. It's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And I have some incredible people around us. And I think the other thing is we hire incredible people, and then we want them to be incredible. And a lot of times we don't either train them well or communicate with them well. And so then they leave a place of not knowing if they're even winning.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can really lay out what you want, train them, tell them, show them, this is what I want, and you have communication. Like, I may not always be the best at training and showing, but we're going to be talking 2 to 3 times a week to 2 to 3 times a week, if not every day. I talk to Angie and Cheyenne. I go up there at least once a month. She can always call me. Like, we're always communication. So it's like, she never is left out there going, I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know. And we have goals set up. We have the KPI board. We have all that. But you got to be a little bit like, hey, it's okay. That's all right. Oh, we wasted $500. It didn't work. That's all right.
Well, Sorry. So much of what you're saying, I feel like if somebody's listening to this, there's a lot of layers to what you're describing, and it's not something you could just build overnight, because you're talking about hiring well, which allows you then to empower people and to trust them more than you would if you'd rushed that hiring process, right? Because you've got good people who you know you can trust, but also communicating with them regularly so they know what success looks like, your KPI boards, your goal setting, all of that. And on top of that, the ability to give grace to people whenever sometimes things do go wrong, and that's just part of it. All of that works so well together. But for a business owner who's out there and they're like, my organization's a mess, we're trying, this is what we would love to get to someday, but this sounds like pie in the sky to me. Where would you start?
I'm on a Brendan Burchard kick right now. I don't know if you've heard it, High Performance Habits. He and Ed Mylett are best friends, by the way, which how cool would that be to just be best friends with another high performance guy?
Yeah.
But his books are incredible. Motivation Manifesto. I mean, you look him up and be like, oh, I do know this guy. Well, he wrote one called High Performance Habits. And the first habit is like 6 habits is clarity. And I think that is the main thing people don't do because we're so busy. Like as business owners, it's like, I got to go get the next sale, the next thing, whatever to keep the ship moving.
Yeah.
Right.
But what's it all for?
What's it all for is a huge thing. And I know what I want. I'm really clear on my big why. I got my BHAG, my big hairy audacious goal. I've got all those, but I say like, you got to get really clear on what you want. And the other thing I'm doing every morning when I'm doing like the reading, the whatever is I'm gaining and getting energy. Yeah. That's the second habit he talks about is energy. Find energy. So you've got your clarity and now you got your energy. And then it's like, now what's necessary? And we're raising necessity to like, what do I go after now? And it's kind of like when I know what to go after because I've got the clarity now, I've got the energy now. It's like
it all goes together.
It all goes together, right? And then it's like, okay, now what is my habits? And you can go into the simplest thing that everybody needs. If a business owner feels like he's running wild, he needs a brain dump with the whiteboard and he needs to get control of his calendar.
Yeah,
he needs to stop being what we call a Pop-Tart. Somebody calls you, you Pop-Tart and you go. Oh, somebody call, what do you need? What do you need? Because they're so afraid of giving up the money, but here's the reality. If you were to call me and say, hey man, can we do a podcast? Which I think actually this is how it went. Can you do it on Thursday? I'm all, can't do Thursday. You would go, how about Tuesday? How about, could you do Thursday at 10 a.m.? That's the same thing. But instead we don't want somebody to call somebody else, go somebody, do another business. And we act out of fear versus out of preparation. And I think that's one thing we do here is it's like we prepare to win. And that's part of the, getting my energy, getting my mindset, getting in, knowing what I'm about to do in the office for the next day. Before I leave the office, what's tomorrow look like? On the way to the office, what do we have today? And then nothing's just surprising me. Our whole lives need to be set up with routine. And the best way to put routine is think of rhythm. Yeah. Like you have rhythm, baby, it's so much better, And so you just want to set your life up with rhythm and routine. Yeah. And a whole lot of problems. Ray actually told me this. Ephesians 10:19 says that money solves all problems. And yeah, totally. I'm not sure it's even taken out of context because I haven't read the whole chapter, but I'm like, Ray wouldn't lie to me. But it does. It says money can solve all the problems. And it's like, if you really look at most of these entrepreneurs' problems, business owners' problems, it's because they probably don't have their finances in order. And they're not even sure, like, if I'm overspending what I'm bringing in or what do I have? Do I have 3 to 6 months to sit back? Every single time there's that, it creates chaos. It creates stress. And that can all be set up with, you need a time block and get some peace so you can go get more deals. Whatever it is. It's the same conversations. If you're at McDonald's, you're at a tire oil change shop. I got to have enough people come in. Okay, well, how do I get the people to come in? I either got to go to them and ask them to come in. I got to call them on the phone. I got to hang a big banner out front.
Got to figure it out.
It's the same questions. How many do I have to have? And then it's then you have the economic question of, okay, well, how many do I have to make the bills? Okay, well, now that I've made some money after we got in more than we needed, now that I made some money, what am I going to do to build the organization to then go do more?
Right.
So it's the same business, 4 or 5 questions for every business. It's just a matter of what are your questions for yours and yours for you. And most of the time a business owner knows it. They're just not organized.
Yeah. That clarity That's something we talk about all the time. It's just fighting for clarity.
Yeah.
You know, whenever there are a million problems going on, and you have that brain fog of, you know, I need to do these 12 things before I go home today.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what those 12 things are. You know, a lot of times, like, go into the whiteboard. I'm the king of the whiteboard in our office, but just getting it out, getting that clarity. You know, a lot of times, like, procrastination is just confusion. Like, you're procrastinating because you're not clear on what needs to be done.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that is huge in a lot of what we do to help. I feel like you could have been on the coaching session this morning with one of our clients. Is like, so much of what we do is, hey, let's just lay everything out. Like, here's our problem, you know, writing it down in a couple of sentences, like, puts it in perspective. Like, okay, this is what we're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And then let's get clear. What are our next 3 steps? And that's all we have to worry about. Let's go make those 3 steps. And then let's figure out the next 3.
A guy I look up to once told me that there's no problem bigger than a Sharpie and a white piece of paper.
Okay.
And you can pretty much figure out the answer and what you need to go do on a Sharpie and a white piece of paper. If it's bigger than that and needs more paper, it's because you're overcomplicating it.
And we have a tendency to do that a lot in business.
Because, you know why we overcomplicate? Probably because we don't like the answer. Or we don't like what we have to go do, or what we have to spend, or what we or we're putting off a conversation, or, you know, it's usually those things. It's like, gosh, I know what I need to do. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. So many business owners don't even want to get to that point of the Sharpie and the piece of paper. You know, we've had people who go through coaching, and sometimes just starting with what are you aiming for? What are your big picture goals? Like, what is all this busyness even building towards is an annoying conversation for some people, because they're like, well, I just want to get after it. I just want to I just want to solve the problems that are in front of me. But if you do that, you're just going to be on a hamster wheel for the rest of your life, because the problems are always going to be there. But if you're not deliberate, if you're not doing things like time blocking, things like starting your day in a deliberate way, the rhythm you talked about, all of that just flows together, but it doesn't happen by accident. It can only happen if you know what you're aiming for, and you're setting your life up in a way that the thing you're prioritizing is truly what you're setting things up for. Otherwise, you're just...
The question that somebody asked me one time that I ask everybody is, let's build your perfect day. Act like there's no problems. What are you doing?
That's a good exercise.
So many are solving problems and putting fires out all day that they don't even know what a good day looks like.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's work backwards. Perfect life, perfect money, all the situations. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you want your life to look like? And they're like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'd start my day with breakfast with my kids. Cool. You know, like what you're like, well, go into it. Like, let me hear it. And then you can work backwards. Like, well, what's keeping you from this one?
I heard this quote, and I'm going to botch it, but it's something to the effect of, if more money wouldn't change the way you spend your time, you're already wealthy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it.
Man, I got one for you. It was posted on my Facebook today. I'm reading Salil Bloom's 5 Types of Wealth.
Yes, I want to order that. I haven't ordered that yet.
It's great. And he actually will message you back on Instagram and say, thanks for ordering my book. Like, he's a cool guy. But what he posted was from chapter 2 of his book. And it says, the things you pray for become the things you complain about. The partner you prayed for becomes the partner you criticize. The house you prayed for becomes the house you complain is too small. The car you prayed for becomes the car you can't wait to trade in. The vacation you prayed for becomes the vacation you stress over. It's easy to allow today's more to become tomorrow's not enough. And it's like, it's a perspective thing, but it's like, that goes back to clarity. And I am that. That's why I'm like, God, it makes this so real. But it's like, I literally spent some time. We had a class with Ray. We do a Saturday deal once a month called the Dominion that a buddy of mine, Phil, set up. And Ray's talking, and we're literally like, what's your definition of success? It's like, you sit there, and he's like, no, we have pens and paper, like, write it down. So we're like writing it down. He's like, what does it look like in your life when you're successful? Write it down. And I'm like, I'm there. I've got the wife. I've got a beautiful, like, my parents, you know, I have my brothers and nieces and nephews. Like, I've got a baby on the way. I've got great business. It's like,
yeah.
So what pulls you?
It'll make you grateful when you do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what pulls you forward if you kind of have all these things? Well, now it's like, well, I have the responsibilities to kind of I got to pay for it. I got to keep it, right? But it's like I've got to attach it to something greater. And it's like I've wanted a legacy that we can literally, like my grandparents were the most incredible people. Yeah, they had, you know, a little bit of a nest egg that they left to their 3 kids. Wasn't enough to move the needle by any means, but what they had is you walk through Canyon, Texas, and you can say my grandparents' name, and it's like such good people. She was so nice. That guy was the best, smiling all the time, so nice to me. You know, it's like,
yeah,
that's legacy.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I build that legacy for myself? And then at the same time, there is a monetary value because I only know maybe like 3 people that have ever changed the world being broke, and maybe they're not broke; they just didn't have a ton of money. And it's like Gandhi and Mother Teresa, and you know, I mean, you could go even further back biblical times, but I'm not sure enough I'm qualified to speak on that. But it's like everybody else that changed the world had some money to change the world with. And so I don't really know any broke people that are changing the world. So I would like to leave my family some money.
Yeah. 6
generations is my goal.
That's awesome. That's a good goal.
Grandparents or great grandchildren is kind of the thought. Great grandchildren.
Yeah.
My wife's great grandparents paid for her college. And she like, yeah, I met him once.
Wow.
You know, so it's like,
that's a legacy.
Yeah, it's a legacy.
So what are you most excited about in the business moving forward?
The Take 5 oil changes. Isn't that funny? I've got my wife's dream of this wedding venue, and I'm more excited about oil change. It's kind of funny. And it's in another state. That's because it's a business that we've never done, but it's like we've implemented the same cultures. And what's all we did was, so the ones locally in Texas or anywhere with great population, corporate owns. So all the ones here that everybody hates, corporate. And they really only hate them because you had a company like Bolton's that was so good, that raised the bar so high. Well, we are in Wyoming, and we just take that same model that Bolton's did here. Just they're super nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we give really good service. And so I'm really excited about those.
That's great.
It's different. I think that's why.
Well, it's growing. So it's
yeah,
exciting times.
all of our businesses have been transaction based, where we either have to go get the next real estate deal, get the next construction project, get this. And that feels awesome because it's like we bought land right next to Chick-fil-A. People drive into us. It's kind of like, this is cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's just backwards to me, and it's fun.
That's fun. Yeah. That is good.
That's probably the most exciting thing. The other thing I'm really excited about is, like I just mentioned, I'm about to be a dad. And it's always been something that I've wanted to do. Haley and I have been together for 9 years, married 7 this year. And I kind of written it off because I'm like, we never like tried or went down there. But I'm like, I just enjoy my wife. I chose her. This is awesome. And I was like, if I do, I do. If we don't,
yeah,
it's not in the cards. And so it was a surprise. We weren't planning and trying. And so it was kind of like, it's awesome.
Well, congratulations. That'll be the best surprise ever.
Yeah.
And talk about rebalancing and, you know, there'll be more of that to come in the future. We know. So
that's why I'm really excited about that.
Cool. Well, are we ready for a fire round, Albert? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So we've touched on some of these a little bit, but I don't know if we did this one. What's your favorite movie?
Gosh, I don't. I was telling you guys earlier, I fall asleep every time I watch a movie.
Yeah.
TV show is The Office. I can quote that thing left, right, sideways, and over and under. Favorite movie? Dude, every time Remember the Titans is on, I stop on the TV. That movie is just so iconic.
It's a good one.
And you know, the other movie, when it's on TV, I will always stop. 2 other ones. Probably my favorite movie, Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling.
I have not seen that.
Oh, it's so funny. And then the other one's The Proposal with Sandra Bullock. Those are always on TV.
Yeah.
And like if I'm scrolling, like it's usually when I'm waiting on, only time I ever watch TV is when I'm waiting on the college basketball game to come on. Because I don't watch TV. I watch college basketball, and I'll see those and I'll stop every time.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. You've mentioned several books, but what's like your number one, you know, you recall all the time, you give as a gift? What's your number one?
Every time somebody wants to come work for us, I usually try to have them read The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson.
Yeah.
And it's usually they'll be so excited to come work with us, or they're going to go pursue their dream. So The Dream Giver is the number one book I've probably recommended. Love John Gordon, Energy Bus. Great book. You know, just as, hey, Maxwell, I've recommended his stuff all the time. Will Guidara's Unreasonable Hospitality.
I love that book.
It's my favorite book I read last year. I think I read that one actually right when it came out. Like somehow found that one before anybody I felt like was even talking about it. I'm really liking this Sahil Bloom's five Types of Wealth.
That's on my next list.
But really, beyond that one, we're going back through. We went back through 7 Habits Highly Effective People with the team. We went through Intentional Living with John. And then I'm going back through High Performance Habits with Brendan Burchard.
It's a great list.
Yeah. And my Let's book was great. Power of One More.
Man, all right. He had
30. Here's the thing. Most books are like 5 to 7 hours. So 7 hours if you do audio.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's 30 minutes a day. You get 2 books a month without even trying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I listen to my books at 1.5 speed because that's how I talk.
Get through it. Yeah.
So it's just
you and Ben Shapiro. Really fast.
Just keep going. Yeah.
That's good. All right. So, what is one piece of advice that you hear a lot that you don't necessarily agree with in your industry?
That I hear a lot that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't know. I don't know that answer about that I hear. I do have a piece of advice that was, it was a piece of advice that I was heard that I liked that nobody ever talks about. It's Hormozy said, your 9 to 5 will make you a living, but your 5 to 9 will make you alive. And my wife and I will a lot of times have our laptops open as soon as we get home because we're not done working, but we wanted to be home because it's 7 or 6:30, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where people you don't get to the next level there. I don't have a piece of advice that I just don't agree with that here.
That's okay.
Probably just block out the noise too much.
We'll count the extra answers you gave on the book question, so you're good.
Okay.
All right. And then how can people get in touch with you? How can people do business with you?
I get a lot of people that text me and say, can I just pick your brain for a minute? And those become more annoying because I think I probably want them to just give me a subject line and ask me, like, can I pick your brain about this?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm prefacing with that. If they want to get in touch with me, I would like them to say up front this versus like, let me schedule a call and waste a time block or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am happy to talk and do this with a whole lot of people. I think I'm a relationship business and you never know who you're going to be introduced to. And Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Probably Facebook's the easiest thing, but you can Google me and find my cell phone number because it's on every real estate sign. And so it's on Google, but yeah, that's my cell, 806-654-7828.
And then Jacoby Madewell on the Book of Faces.
Yeah. So you can get me no matter what problem it is, but yeah.
Awesome.
Man.
Appreciate you guys.
I appreciate it.
This has been great.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
I hope I answered and gave you guys what you were looking for.
Yeah, you did.
It's been a good time.
Knocked it out of the park. All right. Thank you for tuning in this week. If you are a business owner and you feel stuck in your business and you feel that you can't work on your business, go to our website, stagcoaching.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, click to book your free consultation. And in your free consultation, you can either get a current business valuation and learn what you need to do to increase the value of your business, or we can spend your time working on the number one issue negatively affecting your business. It's free. It's on our website, stagcoaching.com. Kellen, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Jacoby. We've had a great time here.
I appreciate y'all.
All right. See you on the next one.